Okay, hi everyone. This video today I'm going to be doing a book review of with spoilers, a spoilery book review of The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. Okay, this is by Mackenzie Lee. And also in this video I'm going to be showing you my to be read books or TBR books for June, as well as explaining a readathon I'm working on. So there's lots of things in this video. It should be pretty exciting. And here we go. Alright, so first I am going to be talking about this book, and I want to say, before I started this book, I had heard good things about it, and some of the booktube people that I follow had really recommended it and said it was really good. So it was on my list for a while of books to be read, and I found it at my library. I signed it out. I was expecting it to be like mediocre, but let me tell you, this book blew my mind. This book is so good. It's way better than I expected. I loved it. I started this book in May, a couple weeks ago, but I just finished it June 1st, which is perfect timing. I did not realize that June was Pride Month, and this book is about a bisexual male relationship, and so it ties in perfectly to the Pride Month. Okay, well, as I said, I loved this book. So it starts out, I want to say I rated this book 4.5 stars out of 5 on Goodreads, and it centers around a gay or bisexual relationship, as well as interracial relationship, because Monty is white and Percy is colored or half black in the book. There's a lot of themes about how black people are treated back then. This book is set in the 1700s or the 18th century. We're not given an exact date. At the start of the book it says like 17 something, so you know it's the 1700s, but we don't know the exact date, but it's sometime during that period. So they touch on how black people are treated. During their adventures, there's many places, hotels or places that will not take them because they don't take colored people. So because of Percy, they're turned away. And it also shows how women are treated. Women and colored people are almost treated second class, and there's many establishments that women can't go in. Like Monty's sister Felicity is with them, and she's treated almost the same as Percy. Like women can't do a lot of things or go a lot of places that the men can. Yeah, so it's touching on real themes. So basically, it starts out, it's about this 18-year-old English gentleman. He's the son of an earl, so he's upper class. His name is Monty, and his father, he's kind of like a rapscallion, spoiled. His father wants him to be a proper English gentleman, but Monty just wants to get drunk, sleep around with men and women, gamble, party, sleep all day, like do whatever he wants, and that's his lifestyle. His father does not like that. He's a huge disgrace to the family. So his father sends him, along with his best friend Percy, and there's Monty's sister Felicity, sends them on a European tour where they go to like different countries in France and I think Germany, with a chaperone named Mr. Lockwood. And so Monty's all like, yay, I get to see Europe with my best friend, it's gonna be so much fun, we're gonna party. But no, Mr. Lockwood's like, no drinking, no sex, no kissing, no gambling. Like he tells them right from the beginning all the rules, that he's under strict orders from Monty's father to... It's basically like they're going on this tour for a year, and then Monty's supposed to come back and see if he can shape up, and if this will help him to learn to get his act together so he could be a proper son of an earl. And the sister is supposed to go off to finishing school to learn how to be a lady, so at the end of the year they're supposed to drop her at a girls' finishing school, which she doesn't like. I really like Felicity's character. She's very feisty. There's one point in the book where her father thinks that girls shouldn't be reading at all, but if they have to read, they can read girly fluff stuff. But she's actually reading like medicinal textbooks, studying to be a doctor, self-taught, which a girl could never be a doctor back then, but she's studying medicine, but she's cutting the covers off of like romance magazines or fluff books and putting the medicine textbooks behind it. So when she's sitting at the dinner table reading, and her dad's like, "You shouldn't be reading that," and he mocks her, but he doesn't really stop her, because at least it's girly books, but it's actually medicine, which he would have been a lot more mad if he found out. She really doesn't want to go to finishing school. She doesn't want to sit there and be a prissy lady. I really like her character. Yeah, and so they travel around Europe, and they have so many adventures. Like, this book is so action-packed, and I was surprised how many adventures took place and how much action happened in it. Like, okay, they're traveling, they end up robbing the Duke of Bourbon. Well, Monty does. Then they take off, and then they're robbed by highwaymen, and their carriage is like held up, and there's a scuffle, and then they end up getting separated from Lockwood, and the children take off, and then they get captured by pirates who turn out to not be pirates and befriend them, and then they're stowaways on this ship. They're held captive by the pirates, and then they help the pirates. Then they meet this boy, Dante, and his sister, Helena, I think her name is, and find out that this box that Monty stole was their father's box, and it's just so many adventures. And so basically, this box that Monty stole from the Duke of Bourbon, he finds out by a traveling band of gypsies that it's actually an ancient box called, I think, Fisheggio box or something, and some Italian name. And what it's holding is a Lazarus key, which it's hard to explain, but basically Dante's father is an alchemist and is trying to design a cure-all, so something that would cure any disease, and he was successful, but it came at a great cost, and he did an experiment to create it, and it came at a great cost. Someone lost their life because of it. This box holds a Lazarus key, which is basically a key to where the cure-all is stored. The Duke of Bourbon wanted the cure-all to get power. Anybody who had an item like that would be so powerful, and the Duke is so power hungry, so that he stole it. So then Monty stole it from him, thinking it was an ordinary box that basically wasn't anything special. Then he's getting chased, robbed by highwaymen to try to get the box, who he finds out were sent by the Duke. Yeah, it's just so good, and I'm not going to give away the ending because I've already given away too much, but it's a very good story. There's lots of adventure, it's action-packed, and I found the love story was interesting. There's a love story between Monty and Percy that's taking place throughout the book. Monty's character, the way that he's written is he's arrogant, he's selfish, he's callous, sometimes he only thinks about himself, he's a bit of a jerk, but, and he stays that way pretty much throughout the novel, although there's scenes when he does help others and do selfless acts for those that he cares about, but in the end it's mostly all about him and his opinions. And Percy is very kind and quiet. And he plays the violin. So it's very interesting to see their love story, because especially when they're two men in love at a time when this would not be accepted in England, and gay people didn't even have the term bisexual or even gay, and this was really not accepted. So it takes a while for them to express their feelings for each other, so that there's a whole dynamic of that's interesting. I would say this book is a young adult book, but there are some crude parts. There's one chapter in the beginning, I think chapter 4 or 5, close to the beginning, that is especially crude, and they make jokes about sexual things and some graphic references. Other than that main part that's very vulgar, there is some kissing and fondling throughout the book. Talks of ogling, like staring at a woman's breasts, things like that, but making out. Other than that, there's some crude poems and vulgarity, but it's not throughout the whole book, so you could just skip over those parts. But I would not recommend this book for, say, like a 9-year-old or someone that, if they have an advanced reading level but they're not at the right age yet. I would just caution parents about that. So yeah, this book has everything I love. It has stolen treasures, pirates, adventure, and it's a really good read. There's even other topics touched on, like child abuse. One of the characters is beaten and is traumatized because of it, and it talks about how it affects him. So there's some good themes in this novel. Overall, it was really good. It was fast paced. Once I got into it, it was easy to read. There is a companion book to this, which is about Felicity, the sister, which I'm dying to read next. So I'm going to go down to my library and see if they have that. I think it's interesting because they're a series called the Montague Sisters. So both books together are a series and are related, but they can each be read as a standalone. Like when you get to the end of this book, A Gentleman's Guide, it's kind of wrapped up, the story's kind of wrapped up, and you think, oh, that's good. Most of the loose ends are tied up. Although there's a few things that were not answered, like some questions about Lockwood, Dante's father named Matthew Roble, I think. Like in the end, you kind of wonder what happens with him, what kind of happens to some of the characters, and there's just some stuff that's not really answered. But so I'm hoping those loose ends will be tied up in the sequel. But as I said, it's not really a sequel because both books can be read as standalones, although I'm hoping there's some tie-ins, so we'll see about that. Another thing that's really neat is at the end of the book, I'm trying to find it here, there was some like author's notes section at the back of the book. Sorry about that video interruption. I had some technical difficulties. I'm still working on this, and anyway, I really liked the author's notes. She gives historical facts, she talks about how she wrote the book, and there's different sections, like she tells about the Grand Tour, politics at the time, epilepsy, which is one of the main characters has epilepsy, race relations in 18th century Europe, queer culture, and that's it. So there's like facts about how the truth about those issues during that time, how she incorporated it into her book. So her book is technically historical fiction. So it's interesting to read those and see how, like, what research she did and if people really acted like that or if it was really like that in those times. So that was pretty cool. I liked that all the author's notes were at the back, and definitely read those. And that's pretty much it. This book is amazing. You should all read it. It's very, very action-packed, very interesting setting. I haven't read many books about the 1700s. I've read a lot of books about the 1800s, the early 1900s, World War II, the Middle Ages, like King Arthur times, but this, just for some reason, is a period that I haven't read much about, and I found it really interesting. And that's it for that book. And the second part of this video, I'm going to be showing you my June books. Okay, so I'm doing a readathon, which is called the Biblio Games, and it's found on YouTube. I will post the link below. And if people don't know, a readathon is where you choose books to read and a group of people sign up, whoever wants to participate, and there's different prompts and you pick a book that will fit those prompts and you read it. So it's to get you to read different things that you may not have read, or it's just interesting to try to find books that fit into the prompts. So this one, you're divided into 4 teams: villains, superheroes, sidekicks, or anti-heroes. You have to decide what team you want to join, and then that determines what prompts you get. I was so tempted to join anti-hero because there's so many good anti-hero characters that I like. Like my all-time favorite, Kazbrecker from Six of Crows. So he is my favorite anti-hero. So I wanted to join anti-heroes as a tribute to him, but I didn't. I decided I liked the prompts better for the villains team, so that's what I joined. So the prompts given is the group book, which for villains it is Vicious by V.E. Schwab, which unfortunately my library does not have, so I have to find a way to get that. So I haven't gotten that book yet. Then the next ones is a format you don't typically read, for which I got recommended this book, Illuminae. I think that's how you say it, Illuminae. It's a fairly thick book. It's by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. So 2 authors. So the prompt was a format you don't typically read, and this one is, I guess, like case files and interviews. So if you look through it, looks like a very different format, not like a standard novel, so that definitely fits that prompt. The next prompt was a satisfying ending, which I haven't found a book for yet. Then there was a sci-fi book, which is also the same book, so I'm using this book for 2 prompts. Illuminae is a sci-fi book. For a readathon, you don't have to read every prompt, and you're allowed to use one book for multiple prompts if it fits. It's not really a contest to see how much you can read, it's just for fun. The next one was tricky for me, so I had to get suggestions from some people I know. It was a badass main character. And I wanted a book I haven't read yet, because I've read a lot of books with badass main characters, but I didn't want to do a reread. So I was like, how am I supposed to know if it has a badass main character if I haven't read it? So I got suggestions, and this one, Stormfront by John Sanford, a Virgil Flowers novel. This is a different format. Lately I've been reading a lot of young adult or young adult fantasy. This one is, I think, a mystery. It says Yeah, it's like a detective mystery set in modern day Israel. But supposedly the main character, the like detective guy, is so badass, and that's what a lot of people have told me, so I'm gonna read that one for that prompt. So again, that's Stormfront by John Sanford. The next prompt was a buddy read, so to read a book with a friend. I haven't chosen one for that yet either, so that means choose a book and someone else that's doing the readathon has to read the book at the same time as you. So I'm talking to some people and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for the buddy read. These are some other books I'm reading in June just for fun, which this one is part of a series. It's the first book in the series, The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, I think that's how you say it. It's a fairly thin book. The other ones in the series look bigger than this one. I've heard good things about these books, and it was also recommended on a YouTube channel, so I'm interested to see if I'll like it. And all reviews of these books will be coming as I finish them. And this book, which I've been dying to read, The King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo, the author of the Grisha trilogy and the Six of Crows duology. I have not read the Grisha trilogy. I do own the first book of it, so I plan on starting that soon, although I really want to read King of Scars in June, but I was told that I should read the Grisha trilogy first in order to understand everything and some of the characters. So I may not read this book in June, it depends. I may decide to read the Grisha trilogy first, and then come back and read King of Scars, sorry. I just so wanted to read it, and it looked so interesting. I love her writing style. So yeah, so those are the books I've chosen to read in June. And I've never done a readathon before, so hopefully this will go well. I will keep all of you updated. And if there's anything you want to see on my channel, any books you want me to review, or talk about, or any ideas you want me to do, I would love your suggestions, so comment down below with anything you want to see, any books you might recommend. Yeah, I'm always looking for new ideas for my channel, and thanks so much for tuning in. Bye for now.
That's all, folks.